What's up, YouTube? It's PJ's Chess back in another video. So today I have a game 5 of the Michigan Class Championships. I was in Class A and I went in rated 1822. I finished 3 out of 5, and here's the 5th and final game, which I gotta draw. See the accuracies, we both played very well, 93.8 and 93.9. So I did have a very good tournament. If you take away the first game, I had 89% accuracy or higher for every game. So with a lot of time on the clock, I can be pretty good. This is 90 plus 30, and yeah. Let's get straight into the video. Before I get started, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, and let's get straight to it. Let's start this review. So, I go pawn to d4, then go knight to f6, bishop f4, pawn to e6, and pawn to e3. Now, I played this person before. This is our 4th time. He won the first one, I won the second one, and we've drawn the last two. So, we're 2-2. This is a pretty cool rivalry. They go pawn to g6, I go bishop here to d3, bishop to g7, and pawn here to h3. So, now, at this point, because we've played this opening before, I've played white 3 times and they played black 1 time, so we pretty much know what we're doing in the open. We played each other before. I go knight f3, pawn to c5, pawn to c3, castles, and pawn to b6. Now after pawn to b6, this is the first time I feel like I've definitely improved, because before I've never thought of this a4 idea and I go a4. This is an accuracy, but I still think I will play this again knowing this is inaccurate, because it just makes sense to me to try and stop what they got going on here and potentially go a5. The computer gives me a slight advantage at this point. I should have went bishop h2, and I go there eventually. And the reason you have to go, I'll show, because after rook e8, say I go a queen over, I run into the issue of here, and I've lost some games like that all online. Enough to the point where I don't do that over the board ever, and I know not to do so. So I drop back to h2 after rook to e8, and they go queen to c7. Now at this point of the game, this is a few moves from the last check-in I did. I do feel kind of bad. Like, I know it says I'm winning on the eval bar, but I see e5 is not a way to stop it. I think that I've messed up somewhere in the opening, but I'm actually winning. And that doesn't feel like it. I go a5. This is a mistake. Rook to e1 is better. I saw rook to e1, but I just didn't think it did anything, because I want to see the analysis. So let's do the best move. The best move is rook e1, and let's show moves. So rook e1, e4, that's as far as it goes. But I want to put this in the analysis board. So it's saying what, cx d4, cx d4. Like, I don't know. This just seems kind of hard to prove that it's winning from my perspective, because this bishop is going to attack this weakness. There's no pawn on c3. I can get on this file, I guess, but maybe you can see how I was a bit hesitant to go for this line. So when I go, I take, and I just want to trade things off because I didn't like my position. And when you are not in a good position, for me personally, I like to trade down. I go queen here to c2, they go queen here to c6, the best move. It took them a little bit to play it, I think, because they were calculating if it's worth going for, because obviously I see this as checkmate in 1. Like, if I say go here, this is just mate in 1, so I see that and I want to avoid it, and I go pawn here to e4. This is a move that did take a while to find. Well, I should say not to find. I obviously saw that pretty quickly, but I was deciding between e4 and f3. The reason I went against f3 was because of knight to d5. This is actually not even a good move. The best response here is bishop h6, but the same idea of this pawn here being weak. So when I go pawn to e4 instead, there's nothing to attack. So the knight can't even go there. I didn't see bishop a6, to be honest, but I did see this. Like, well, I'm limiting the knight, I'm stopping checkmate, and I can go f3, which actually ends up being a mistake, which is why it's 93.8 and not like 100. But they go pawn here to b5. I can take rooks, and the reason I take rooks, I calculated this for a while as well. I was actually down like 30 minutes. Only time this tournament I think I was down on the clock. The reason is because whatever happens here, I never want them to have this intermezzo move, and it's kind of hard to explain because it may not seem that bad, but another thing is they can't. That's what it was. They can't get to this file if I take first, because if they take with the rook, then this pawn here is hanging. It's saying c4 is actually better. This is actually, this pawn here is hanging. Now they could. Obviously, they get the file in return, but it's not something you really want to do. So when I do it first, I take with the bishop, and now I can eventually go there. Whereas if they were to have traded, and I trade back, they could go there and attack the file, and then their queen could get on the file. I'm pretty sure that's my thought process. So I'll go pawn here to f3. This is an accuracy, and actually the only time in the game where I felt worried besides when e5 was about to be played, and I played f3 out of, I felt, was an obligation. Now the best move here is b3. I hesitated to play b3. I obviously see it to try and stop this, but it felt like I'd be losing a knight square and some pawn flexibility, which I was incorrect in my assumption, but that was my thought process. The problem with f3, and I saw this, was pawn here to c4, bishop e2, queen here, king over, and queen here to e3. Now I saw all of this, but I thought after I didn't see knight b1, I probably would have played rook over, but this is wrong. So I should have hopefully I would have found knight b1. But even this, like, this is just a little bit worse of a position. I didn't think it was losing, and I was fine with going into this, but they surprisingly go knight d7, and I was like, whoa, like, thank you. So now I felt very good. I just go c4. Now this is an inaccuracy. Again, I didn't want to push the b pawn because of the flexibility. I like the idea of maybe going here, so I did keep it alive. Not the best idea, but it wasn't for no reason that I went c4. I know it's an inaccuracy, but that's something else I'd probably play again, even knowing the evaluation, because I just know it'd be easier for me to play. I go rook to a1, they go bishop to b7, trying to avoid anything on this file, and they want to get their rook over, which again is why a couple moves ago trading rooks has worked out, because now I get there first, and they have to make moves to try and maneuver over here. And again, I still have this pressure, which is something they have to keep in mind when they make any move. L knight to b3, this move I kept raving about ends up being an inaccuracy. This is one that I would not play again, because I just missed a better maneuver. I didn't see here. That's what I'm assuming the idea of knight to f1 is. I completely missed that. But wow, I cannot believe I missed that. That looks way better, because I could get here to d5, and then maybe I have something cooking, and this is always a backwards pawn that I could eventually target, which I do, but I missed it. It happens. I go knight here to b3, go queen here to b6, king over, rook over, and queen to b1. Now, I thought for a while here, maybe 5 or so minutes, maybe it wasn't that much, but it felt like I thought for a while at the very least. I didn't immediately go queen b1. The reason I decided to go queen b1 is I wanted to control the file after the trade, because say takes here, or something like this, maybe not this exact, but the idea that I want to show is they would get the file. Now I could go there, and this is kind of what happens, but I don't know, I just, for whatever reason, it felt different than the way it transpired on the board, and I can't explain it and put it into words, but some of chess is like you've played and you have experience, and like, okay, this doesn't look right, like maybe I can't explain it, and that's what differentiates me between a Class A player and a master. Like, I have a feeling, I have an inkling, but maybe I can't explain and articulate it the same way they can. So that's why I went queen b1. I just felt like the position looked a little off had I not done it like this. And I go here, and this is actually zeros across the board, and it's the same idea. So I was right, I just cannot explain it. Like, it just was a feeling like this is not right, so I'm gonna go queen b1 first. We trade, and obviously in that line I didn't have to do what I showed, but that's all I was seeing, which is why I went for that. So we trade queens on a1, and here's like, well, this is a draw. No one can win. Like, we have a symmetrical pawn structure. We have the same pieces, the same material. The only difference is their light square bishop is a little better, and my dark square bishop is a little bit better, because, you know, they're dark square pawns, my light square pawns. But even that, I think their bishops are slightly preferred, because this bishop is completely useless, whereas this, as you can see, can reroute this way. I can't really reroute. I can reroute here, but as you'll see, it just doesn't make that much sense. So they go bishop here to d6, I go bishop here to e3, we'll slide our kings over, and after he pawn here to g4, I'm like, okay, this is a draw. Now this doesn't have a slight advantage. I just don't think I would lose this. Maybe to like a master, not even a master. I think I could draw a master with this position. Maybe a grandmaster I lose, like I get outplayed, but it's so hard to create anything. Like, how do you create any chances when I decided to clamp down on the light squares? Now this is also me admitting I didn't want to try and win the game, because if I wanted to try and win, g3 is probably better. Now I know the eval bar says this is not right, because f5, but that's the thing, is if you were to try and win, you'd want to trade pawns. But g4, it stops everything. Like, they can't go here. And I did see knight to b3 as well. I decided not to go there, because after there, I could go back maybe. Like, there's no forward progress. It does get an initiative, but I was like, well, I'm having a good event. I'm at 2.5 out of 4 at this point. If I draw, I finish above 50% of the points allowed I could earn. So I got 60% of them, which is a good event. Like, I finished 6th place. So I was like, well, no need to take any unnecessary risk. The other thing is, this could attack, but you'll see a move later I do to try and attack this anyways, and I'll explain it when I play it. They go knight here to b6, and this is, to me, a draw offer from them. And he actually offers a draw shortly after, but I thought it was a draw offer there's this is more aggressive, and here like I'm obviously want to stop it. So when I go b3, which I didn't have to do, but I lock up the pawn structure. No pawn progress from either of us. They have to get their knight here, which I thought they would try and do, and they actually do try and do. Not I thought they go here, 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 and as you'll see, but it's a draw for me because they know that I'm probably going to play there, which means the pawn structure gets more locked than it was, and trying to go here, it isn't pointless or not here. That's very bad. They would have lost. But if they get their when they try and get their knight there, I'm just going to take or even go here and take. And because I have a light square bishop and there's no way for them to get in, even though they'd have a pass pawn, so to speak, they could never push it through, which is why it does end up working. They go knight to d7, knight to c2, bishop to e7, and queen to g3. This is another point of the game where I decided to play passively. I could have went, I think, here or no, not there. Here, yeah, I could have went there. I was considering going there. I don't know why. I wasn't even thinking of there. I don't know why I used that as an example. Because then I could trade pieces, potentially. This is actually a little worse, but at the very least, it's something else. Like, there are ideas. Like, obviously, that wouldn't happen, but just to put in perspective. But when I go king to g4, g3, there's no idea. Like, h3, h4, h5, h4, h5. I considered it, but again, it's one of those things like they'd have to mess up. And you see the eval bar, it's dead even, so it just wouldn't have really happened. They go knight here to b8, and this is where I thought they wouldn't offer a draw. So I was actually kind of surprised because when they went knight b6, I was like, oh, they just want to draw. But after knight to b8, knight here, I felt they were trying to win the game. I go knight e1, and they go here and offer a draw. I think because they also see I have an attack of drop back, or no, I probably drop back here, and then knight here to attack. And I think we both would have had to mess up for the person to win, but that's part of chess. So we decided to take a draw here, and I finished the tournament 3 out of 5. I should gain some points. I was 1822. I was ranked 18th out of Class A, and I finished 6th. I beat a 1976. I beat a 1882. I drew a 1947 and drew a 1931, and I lost to a 1913. So I did have a pretty, it's pretty cool. I only lost one game. I should have beat the 1930, but it happens. So yeah, that's this event. I'll be doing more tournaments, probably more closer to the summer as I have school right now, so this might be my only tournament. I will be doing streams and other content of chess related stuff. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe and keep supporting the channel. Have a good one.